1. With my parents' wedding anniversary coming up, I was on a mission to get them something other than the usual dinner at a fancy restaurant. After 32 years together and putting up with my brother and me for 30 of those years, Andy and Tia Rydell deserved the best. Since they retired, they had a lot of free time on their hands, and boredom was setting in. I wanted to go big this time, give them something special and memorable. "What about a cruise?" Becca pushed a stroller packed with shopping bags and baby things. Her daughter, Megan, pointed at the dogs as they passed by with their owners and made oof, oof noises. Dad would hate a cruise. Market Street, just off Main Street in Unionville, was teeming with shoppers and tourists come for the spectacular fall colors and the Lake Somerset Wine Festival. Now that baby Megan was getting older, Becca was more mobile and wasn't about to pass up the beautiful weather. She suggested we meet up for an afternoon of shopping and gossip. After confronting Jennifer Barnes's killer in Asbury Park, I took some time away and became a hermit. Even if I was still dealing with burnout, I channeled all my energy into writing instead of socializing. The time away was good and productive. I started working on my next book and even outlined another. Once the storm had passed, that old restlessness found me without something to occupy my brain, so it didn't take much convincing to hang out with my best friend. I only let Becca think she had to drag me out of the house. "What's your brother getting them?" "He won't tell me. He suggested I buy them a weekend spa package, believe it or not." "Old Mr. Stick-Up-His-Butt actually suggested that? Sorry, no offense." "None taken." I gave Becca the side eye. My dad would love to have a bunch of women pampering him, but my mother would get jealous. "So, what do you have in mind?" "Well, there's a film festival in Pittsburgh next month. Unfortunately, I'm too late. It's already sold out." "That would have been perfect." "I know, right?" Then I thought, what could I get them that would make their lives easier in the coming years? "One of those stair lifts?" I laughed for a brief second before giving her the side eye again. "No, smart Alec. I was thinking either a home remodel or buying them a condo in Florida." "Oh, I vote Florida." Becca blurted this out without missing a beat. I knew why and waited for her to say it. "That way I can visit them." "Because I'm sure they'd be aching for the pleasure of your company." "Well, yeah, your parents love me." Because I hadn't taken a vacation in years, I wouldn't admit it to anyone out loud that I also had an ulterior motive for wanting to buy the condo. I guess we could all use it, if we gave them proper notice, of course. "Oh, of course." Becca studied me. "There's a but in there." "But my mother hates Florida." "Is there anything she likes?" "Pie." "Sounds like a gift certificate to Hilltop Inn on Lake Somerset it is then." "That's what I got them last year." I drew my shoulders up, trying to navigate through the sea of bodies crowding the sidewalk. So many tourists. I couldn't remember the last time I saw this many people in downtown Unionville. It was a perfect opportunity to people watch, though. I always studied faces to use as characters in my books. Across the street, I spied a woman with the most golden blonde hair sorting through a collection of vinyl records sitting in a milk crate in front of Ella's Music Store. She was nicely tanned, flawless skin, cheekbones prominent but not strikingly sharp, a natural beauty. I wanted to use that face for my heroine, her hair splayed out on a jasmine-scented bed while the hero made passionate love to her. But in this case, I couldn't shake the feeling I had seen that face somewhere before. Some people had that kind of face, but I memorized it just the same. "Ricki!" a female voice called out. I jerked my head around, searching for the source of that voice. "Over here!" Standing about 15 feet in front of me, a tall, thin woman with a sleek bob hairstyle waved her arms, trying to get my attention. "Oh my goodness, Taryn Wilkes!" I said between a shout and a squeal. It startled everyone standing within earshot. It even startled Taryn because we weren't exactly friends in high school. We were merely friendly. "I haven't seen you since graduation. How are things?" "Things are great." Taryn wasn't part of the popular crowd, but she wasn't an outcast either. She wasn't that smart, nerdy, or a band geek, or anything, really. She was mostly just there. One of those people who were, sadly, an afterthought. You could talk with her 1 minute and forget about the conversation the next. She had that kind of personality. I've been expecting your call, but... You remember Becca, don't you? Taryn did a double take and gasped when she saw Becca. I didn't even recognize you. You look so normal now. She put her hand on her chest and laughed nervously. I didn't mean it for it to come out that way. It's just that your hair is pretty and you don't wear that heavy eye makeup anymore. Boy, the more I talk, the worse I sound. I put my arm around Becca's shoulder and gave her an affectionate squeeze. Yeah, our little girl grew up to be a pretty nice human being. She's a mom now. A mother, she laughed. Maybe Taryn didn't mean for it to sound as if she were astonished by the news of Becca being a mother, but boy, did it ever sound like she was astonished that Becca was a mother. Great, that's great. I'm glad you guys think this is funny, talking about me like I'm not even here. It's just that you were into that heavy metal stuff. You always wore t-shirts with that one band. Who was it? Slayer, Becca and I said at the same time. I was so afraid of you back then, Taryn said. Becca gestured by wiping her hands. My work here is done. Becca had a good sense of humor when it came to how she was in high school. For the most part, she let comments like this slide off her back, but I sensed that this conversation about her appearance and choice of music and that she was now a mom annoyed her. The old Becca would have flipped her middle finger in the air and walked off. The new Becca gritted her teeth and faked a smile. I had to change the subject, and quick, or the old Becca and her middle finger would emerge. Did you say you were expecting a call from me? I winked at Becca. If it's about the high school reunion, I already told Brian Mitchell I don't want to be on any organizational committee. No, it has nothing to do with high school, actually. The three of us had blocked the middle of the sidewalk, eliciting snarky comments from passers-by that we needed to move and find somewhere else to gossip. Becca, still irritated by Taryn's lack of social graces apparently, redirected that irritation and flipped off a group of dudes. The old Becca was back. I grabbed hold of her hand. What are you doing? We're in the way. Let's grab a coffee and sit down somewhere so people can get by. The street is crowded enough already without us standing in the way. Coffee sounded good to me, but coffee always sounded good to me. Besides, Megan needs to eat. I looked at Taryn. Do you have time for coffee? She swiped through her phone, contorting her mouth in concentration. I don't. I only wanted to touch base with you about the show. What show? Taryn tilted her head to one side in confusion. I've been working with a couple of producers over the past few years to put a local talk show together. That sounds exciting, I said, nudging Becca to agree. That does. Becca moved closer to the building to get out of the way of the people walking on the sidewalk. Wait, you went to broadcasting school or something, right? I have a degree in communications. So anyway, after many years of hard work, we are go. Our new talk show, Wake Up Somerset, is happening, and you're to be our very first guest. Becca snorted. Is that funny? Taryn asked, confused. No. I had done interviews in the past, but they were usually for magazines or blogs. I always answered the questions through email, away from the eyes of other humans. I had only done a few live interviews and didn't enjoy them one bit. The thought of going on television made my stomach tighten. I'm flattered, but why me? Because you're a successful romance writer and a local celebrity. I don't know about that. Your agent said you have a new book coming out in a couple of weeks. My agent? Tracy knows about this? I hadn't spoken to my agent in close to a month. It was almost time for one of our monthly phone calls. Still, with something like this, Tracy would have called sooner and given me all the details, emailed me at the very least. She never mentioned it. Let me talk it over with her first before I give an answer? She already said you would do it. She said she talked with you or emailed you or something or other. You're supposed to come to the studio in a couple of days. She said you were on board with it. Taryn's phone rang. She looked at it and rolled her eyes and groaned. I have got to take this. Unfortunately, I'll be in touch with the details. Taryn walked away, leaving me standing in the middle of the sidewalk with my finger pointed at the sky and my mouth hanging open. Still want that coffee? Becca linked her arm in mine and walked me toward the coffee shop. My favorite coffee shop, The Bean, wasn't near Main Street, and I would have given anything to have one of their strong cappuccinos right at that moment. Tiny tea and coffee would have to do. I always avoided the place because of the cutesy way the owner misspelled coffee. My inner editor wanted to take a red pen to it. Sounds like you need to call your agent. She's going to get an earful from me. Why wouldn't she call me and give me a heads up? I hate being put on the spot like this. You should do it. I shot Becca a look and snorted. Come on, it'll be good for you. I'm not going to turn into an extrovert all of a sudden. Why can't you accept that? Oh, I accept it, but social skills are something you can learn, even if you have to fake it. I'll help you prepare for the interview. Can you help me prepare for life? You're 30 years old. Don't you think it's a little late for that? I nodded. Sounds of clanking dishes and loud conversations came out of the coffee shop as a door opened and closed. There wasn't an available table that could accommodate 2 women with a baby and a stroller full of shopping bags. Standing outside, looking in, I craned my neck. It's crowded. Are you sure you want to do this? Becca stepped inside and took a peek for herself. The annoying bell above the door clanged. She stepped back with a jolt. No, let's go someplace else. It's too crowded. Come on, let's hurry. Confused by the sudden and obvious change in Becca's mood, I wondered what would have made her react that way. I popped my head inside for a better look, and that was when I saw him. Marty Houck, the guy who broke my heart when he fell in love with someone else, reached across the table and took the hand of the beautiful blonde I had admired from across the street just minutes ago. Record scratch. The image of her lovely hair splayed over a jasmine-scented bed went up in flames. She didn't look so beautiful anymore. I couldn't breathe. I stumbled backwards onto the street and braced myself against the building. I hadn't seen him, hadn't talked with him in years, other than exchanging heated emails after the breakup. I hadn't imagined he would ever come back to Unionville, except for holidays and such. It was pure luck that I had missed seeing him on all those visits, but my luck ran out that day. Are you okay, honey? All I could do was shake my head. Let's get out of here. Hold my hand, but let's go. I turned around quickly and slammed into a woman wearing sunglasses, her blonde hair stuffed under a baseball cap. What, were all women beautiful blondes all of a sudden? Watch where you're going, the woman said angrily. It was an accident, Becca retorted. Why don't you slow down and watch where you're going? Bite me. The words were directed at Becca, but the woman was looking at me when she said them. I collapsed to the sidewalk and covered my head with my hands. What is he doing here? Becca kneeled beside me. Who's the girl? I never told my own best friend why Marty and I broke up. I left out the major detail where he fell in love with some girl he met on a business trip to Chicago. I had no choice but to explain everything to Becca. It was time to get it off my chest, to get it out of my mind, out of my heart, out of my soul, to be done with it forever. That's the girl he left me for. I'm sorry? I thought you said you guys had a big fight about him wanting to pursue some photography career or something, and you broke up. You never said anything about a girl. I was too humiliated to tell you. Becca's eyes grew wide. I can understand that, but I'm your best friend. I could have helped you through it if I had known. I don't need this right now. If you don't trust me enough to tell me that he left you for another woman, I wonder how little you think of our friendship. I was devastated. I could barely get out of bed. And I was there for you, holding your hand the entire time. But that's not even the point. You had years to tell me what happened, and you didn't. Becca stood up and brushed dirt and small pebbles off the knees of her jeans. You know what? I'm just going to head home. Between this and Taryn's passive-aggressive insults, I've had enough for today. I'll call you. Stunned by seeing Marty, I didn't even try to stop Becca from walking away. Some time away to think things over would help the both of us. The people walking by on the streets shot questioning glares in my direction. They whispered to each other, wondering if I was okay, or if I was drunk so early in the morning, and what a shame that was. I was certain I didn't have the dignity to get up and walk away, but I managed to find the strength to get up off the ground. One foot in front of the other, I fought back tears the entire way home.